Welcome back to the Action Bible Audio Companion and Narration by MC Brown, part 37. And as we're rolling along, we're of course reading from the Action Bible, God's Redemptive Story, and that is with illustrations by Sergio Carrillo, General Editor Doug Mouse, with 2010 text by David C. Cook. This is the regular version, so if you see the deluxe version, this is not that one, and the one that's the link that's in the description of this video is the regular version. I learned about that after I had started reading this, and maybe if I get a chance to narrate that missing chapters one day, I will. But we're rolling along on this one. We thank you all for tuning in, and those who've been following along on here. Apologize for any mispronunciations. There probably are many, and I've probably butchered a lot of names. I apologize for that. If you have any, put them in the comments, sound it out, or a link to any pronunciations. I'd be happy to correct them if I'm still reading that character's story, or I will make the correction later if I hear it. But I appreciate it nonetheless. Thank you guys. And yeah, there's always a timestamp in the description, so if you see it, you can always skip ahead and skip these intros. So without further ado, we resume here, part 37 on page 461. The Yokes on Jeremiah, based on Jeremiah 27, 37 through 38. Back in Jerusalem, King Zedekiah still rules, as long as he remains loyal to Nebuchadnezzar. For a few years, Zedekiah pays his tribute to Babylon. Then, in spite of Jeremiah's warnings, he begins to think about rebelling. He calls together the other foreign kings who are ruled by Babylon. "What do we get from the money we pay to Babylon?" "We get peace. Peace, but not freedom. Maybe the Egyptians will join us. They hate Babylon too." When Jeremiah learns that there is a talk of another revolt, he puts an ox yoke on his shoulders and bursts into the king's conference uninvited. "What are you doing?" "God has raised up Babylon for a purpose. Everything on earth, including the wild animals, will serve Babylon's king. If you try to throw off the yoke of Babylon, you will be crushed like leaves underfoot. Serve under the yoke of Babylon, and you will live. Any prophet who tells you otherwise is lying." But one of the prophets in attendance, Hananiah, doesn't appreciate Jeremiah's interruption. "Oh, really? Because God told me exactly what to do with the yoke of Babylon. Break it." Crack. "I predict that in 2 years Babylon will be destroyed and we'll get all our temple treasures back." "That's great news, if only it were true. Unfortunately, you will be proven wrong. You may break a wooden yoke, but the yoke of Babylon is made of iron. God is tired of your lies in his name. You'll be dead within a year." Zedekiah knows Jeremiah is a true man of God, but he doesn't want to listen. Even when Hananiah dies a few months later, Zedekiah still doesn't want to believe Jeremiah. During all of this time, Egypt has kept an anxious eye on the growing tensions in Judah. At the right moment, it sends an ambassador to King Zedekiah. "Babylon is your enemy as well as ours. Alone, neither of us can defeat them, but together we can do it." As Jeremiah prophesied, Babylon answers this latest revolt with a swift attack. For weeks, the soldiers of Judah fight to defend Jerusalem's walls. "Where are the Egyptians? They promised they would come." Suddenly, the attack stops. "The Babylonians are breaking camp. They've given up the siege. We've won. Judah is free." "What does God have to say now, huh?" The people think they've won, but God has revealed the truth to Jeremiah. "No. The Babylonians have not quit. They've gone to stop the Egyptians who are coming to help us. They'll be back." "How does he know so much about what the Babylonians are doing?" A few days later, Jeremiah starts on a trip to his hometown a few miles away from Jerusalem. Before he gets out of the gate, soldiers stop him. "You're the one who prophesied that Babylon would conquer us. This is all your fault." "What? I've only spoken God's truth." "Since you don't support us in the war, you're a traitor to Judah." In spite of his innocence, Jeremiah is thrown into prison. Within a few weeks, the Babylonians defeat the Egyptians and return to the gates of Jerusalem. Jeremiah's enemies bring him before the king and accuse him of being a traitor. I repeat the warning God gave me. Invaders from the north will conquer Judah. God chose the Babylonians to destroy our nation because of the sins of our people. Is this the kind of talk that makes our soldiers lose courage? Put the traitor to death or the city will fall. He's in your hands. Do what you want with him. Quickly, before the king can change his mind, Jeremiah's accusers put him in an old, empty well beneath the prison floor. Let him starve to death. The old well doesn't have water in it anymore, but it does still have mud and slime. Jeremiah gags to be trapped in such filth and wonders how long can he survive. But Ebed-Melech, a servant in the palace, gets permission from the king to put Jeremiah in the prison yard. Thank God for your help. I would have died in that awful hole. As the siege continues, people in Jerusalem are starving and beg for food. At last, the frightened king calls for Jeremiah. What will happen to us? It's simple. If you surrender, Jerusalem will be saved. If you don't, it will be burned and the Babylonians will torture and kill you. Surrender? I don't dare. My own people would turn against me. You should be more concerned that God has turned against you. Zedekiah is unhappy with this answer. He keeps Jeremiah under house arrest. The siege goes on, but after 30 more months, Jerusalem falls. Based on Jeremiah 39 through 44, 2 Kings 25, 2 Chronicles 36, 15 through 23, Lamentations, and Obadiah. For 2.5 years, forces from the great Babylonian army attack the city of Jerusalem. At last, they break through the wall as Babylonian soldiers pour through the broken walls. King Zedekiah tries to escape with his family. The Babylonians capture Zedekiah before he can reach the river. They put out his eyes and bring him to the captain of the guard. Since you couldn't see your duty to King Nebuchadnezzar, now you will see nothing ever again. Take him to Babylon. But King Nebuchadnezzar has heard of Jeremiah's prophecies all the way from Babylon. His captain has special instructions. Jeremiah, we know that you are faithful to your God. Because you tried to keep your country from rebelling against us, you are free. Go wherever you want and live wherever you want. If you come back with me to Babylon, I will make sure that you have wealth and comfort for the rest of your life. Thank you. But no, I must stay here to help God's people who have been left in Israel without a leader. Then the Babylonians stripped the silver, gold, and valuable objects from the temple and palace buildings. Set fire to every corner of the city. Don't let anything survive that would give anyone ideas about rebuilding Jerusalem. For days the fire rages, until all that is left of the beautiful city of Jerusalem is a heap of ashes and blackened stone. To lament means to express sorrow. In the book of Lamentations, Jeremiah shares the grief the Jews feel over the destruction of Jerusalem. And now the streets of Jerusalem lie empty. Bitterly our city weeps tonight. Comfort is far from her. Destruction has come from Babylon. Enemies have taken her treasures, for the Lord has rejected her. But remember, God's great love will not let us be burned up forever. His love will never fail because it is new every morning. Great is God's faithfulness. Jerusalem, daughter of Zion, you will return. Keep your heart strong and your eyes focused on the Lord. Lord, your throne will last forever. May you restore us and bring us back to you. Israel's ancestor Jacob spent a lifetime fighting for his brother Esau. Now Esau's descendants, the Edomites, celebrate that their cousins in Jerusalem have been conquered. The prophet Obadiah scolds them for their heartless attitude. You should not kick your brother when he is down. Do not take joy over the people of Judah in the day of their destruction, and do not mock their troubles, for these same troubles will come to you someday. The Babylonians set up headquarters at Mizpah and appoint Gedaliah as governor. Gedaliah has always been faithful to the Lord and believed the words of Jeremiah. Pleased to have a godly governor, Jeremiah joins him and becomes his advisor. Together, we'll encourage the people to build up their homes and replant their vineyards and fields. Someday the captives will return and Judah will become a nation again. But good news is always temporary for Jeremiah. Before the governor's dream can come true, he is murdered. Fearful that Babylon will blame all Israel for the murder, a group of people go to see Jeremiah. We want to go to Egypt where there's peace and plenty to eat. Will you ask of the Lord if that is okay? The Lord has warned me that you will find neither peace nor food in Egypt. Stay here. The Babylonians will not hurt you. God hasn't done such a good job keeping us safe in Jerusalem. We're going to Egypt. Even after everything that's happened, you still don't believe in God's word? You just hoped I'd give you permission for what you'd already decided to do. But the people do not care. They flee to Egypt, forcing Jeremiah to go with them. They think they will be safe, but Nebuchadnezzar conquers Egypt next, killing everyone who fled from Jerusalem. The future hope for God's people now lies within the exiles in Babylon. Eat your vegetables based on Daniel 1. The story of what happens to a royal captive from Judah begins when Daniel and his three friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, enters the city of Babylon at the end of their 900-mile march from Jerusalem. What do you think they'll do to us, Daniel? I don't know, Shadrach, but I'm sure God is with us. Soon after the prisoners reach the city, Daniel and several others are brought before an officer of King Nebuchadnezzar. As nobles from Jerusalem, you'll be given a chance to try out for positions in the king's court. But I warn you, you must be strong, smart, and handsome. The chief official moves through the ranks of exiles. He stops in front of Daniel. If your God is so powerful, why did he let you Hebrews be conquered? Sometimes a father sometimes needs to punish his own children. Or doesn't a father sometimes need to punish his own children? Good answer. The next day, you have been chosen. Now you'll be given 3 years to study under our wise men. After that, the king himself will choose the best qualified to be his advisors. As a bonus, you will get to eat the extra food from the king's table. The young men are assigned a room at the palace to begin their studies. Even though they are technically captives, they receive the best of everything, including the king's food. Here you go, the best food in the kingdom. It's been blessed by our god, Marduk. Well, we can't eat this. It's been dedicated to the Babylonian idols. Thank you for the honor you have shown us. But our Hebrew laws forbid us from eating your meat and wine. Please just give us plain vegetables and water. Vegetables and water? That's not enough food for growing young men. I need you looking strong and well-fed, or the king will have my head. How about this? Test us for a few days. Let us eat our plain food and then see how we compare to the others. For 10 days, the other trainees eat their steak and fine wine taken from the temple of Marduk. Daniel and his 3 friends eat nothing but boiled vegetables and water. At the end of 10 days, there's no doubt Daniel and his friends not only look better, but they are clearly stronger and faster than their peers. Fine, eat whatever you want. After this, the 4 young Hebrews busy themselves with their studies, learning everything their Babylonian teachers can teach. But even though they're keeping themselves pure from ungodly food, they worry about their ungodly studies as well. Why are we studying the Babylonian history and their gods and astrology? We don't believe in any of it. For better or for worse, this is the culture we live in. It's good to understand their ways, just not to follow them. The 4 young men consistently pray to God 3 times a day. In answer to their faithfulness, God gives them knowledge and wisdom. To Daniel, God even gives an understanding of dreams. At the end of the 3 years, the young men are taken before the king. He talks with each one, then makes his decision. I've chosen these 4, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to serve in my government. They are 10 times better than all my magicians, enchanters, and advisors. Alright, we'll stop here. End of, I believe, 37 here, so 472. So when we resume 38, we will be on 473, A Deadly Dream. Thank you all for watching and tuning in. Appreciate you guys as always. May God bless you guys. If you find it in your heart, please like this video, share it to anyone you believe in, or move to that you feel need it. Subscribe, share this, subscribe, hit the notification bell, for this video, and yeah, definitely appreciate you guys. And yeah, so we're rolling along here towards the end of the New Old Testament. We're gonna just keep plugging away, and we'll see you in the next video.